are you?
Hi, my name is Hernan Londono, and I am the Chief Technology and Innovation Strategist at Lenovo.
What has working in higher education at Lenovo taught you?
Education generally, globally, has kind of the same issues, if you will, and very similar opportunities, with obviously with some nuances depending on what region of the globe you're in. But I didn't realize to what extent it was very interconnected. So that's one thing that I can call out very easily. This has enabled me actually to change my mindset about education. I've been in the higher education market uh, traditionally in the US, and that's obviously a very nuanced higher education segment. And now I'm opening my mind to learning about what other regions of the world are doing, but also what we in Lenovo do to support these markets. And the lesson here is we can take anything that we do in other regions and apply it here in the U.S. And equally, there's a lot of things that we're doing here in the U.S. and higher ed that can be adopted and adapted by higher education markets in other parts of the globe.
How should institutions expand digital access to resources for students while keeping privacy in mind?
So we've been paying attention to privacy and digital access for a very long time. This is not new. It's taking a new take. It's taking a new dimension, if you will, because of the emergence of AI. AI is very accelerated. So a lot of the things that we tend to see with new technologies and new digital access is happening very fast right before our eyes. First of all, let's not reinvent the wheel. We have experience with expanding digital access, for example, in the era of the cloud, and we have 25 years of experience with that. And there was a lot of gains in the posture of both security and privacy that have been attained for the past 25 years because we've been working in this year of the cloud.
Do you have a favorite place you've visited?
Growing up, you watch movies, and in the movies you watch, you visit places virtually, you visit cities, and you always wonder, wow, that city or this other city looks amazing in the movies, and does it look like that when you visit? And so it happened to me many times that I watched as a kid a city in a movie, and I was wondering if it looked that good, and many did look good, but not as good as they looked in movies, except when I went to Prague. So Prague in the Czech Republic, I always watched Prague in the movies. The architecture, kind of the atmosphere looked amazing, and I had a chance to visit Prague a number of years ago, and I was amazed.
What made you interested in working in technology strategy?
There is a gap between the practitioner's world and the provider's world, if you will, and that gap is where a lot of the value is defined in terms of a relationship. So practitioners, let's say institutions of higher education, have relationships with providers that may be an OEM or a technology company, and the basis of the relationship is that some value is going to be derived from the relationship for both. But in the case of the practitioner, the value has to be very tangible, right? Because especially in higher education, we have a lot of needs. And so when I came into this world, and I realized, oh my God, I have this deep medical expertise, but I also have, kind of the technology background from my academic background, which is computer science. And I had an idea from having been a customer of what value looked like in this kind of relationship. I found that amazing. That's largely what strategy is about.
Is there a digital tool that you think holds the most promise for higher ed teaching and learning?
I was, of course, a student, through my different degrees, from the initial bachelor's all the way to the terminal degree. But I was also a professor, and so I've been in the two sides of this equation. And one of the things that is up until now was very difficult to do was organizing your research. We had tools for a lot of things in the teaching and learning process, but organizing research was one of these very difficult things to do, and notebook lim is makes that very easy. Now, obviously, it needs to be used responsibly, in a responsible fashion, and for organizational purposes, I think it does a fantastic job.
What's something you're optimistic about for higher education in 2025?
There's been a big emphasis in higher education and doing workforce development, and that I think, you probably have heard, the new administration passed, or issue some executive order about continuing to support um, AI in higher education, both in K-12 and higher education. And we also, so that's at the federal government. We have also the states who have had efforts and initiatives around workforce development for a very long time, because it helps their economies, it helps their citizens, and it helps create access to newer economies. And we're in the midst of developing a new economy based on AI. So there is a requirement at a societal level, both in the U.S. and globally, to continue to train people to have access to this new economy that is being created.